Alright guys, and welcome to your first Android developing tutorial. Now before we start, I'd like to go over what we're going to be doing. We're going to be doing basic Android development tutorials in a series, and we're going to build a very simple application to download images, store them in a database, and then bring those images out in a list. And that is our basic Android developing system we're going to be doing. We're going to go through it step by step. We're going to learn about all the different functions of Android. Now there are some prerequisites that you're going to need. The first being you need a basic understanding of Java to a good understanding of Java. What I mean is you need to know how superclassing works, or subclassing and superclasses, overriding methods. You have to know methods, classes, inner classes, outer classes, and know the structure of Java and how to work with that kind of thing. You know to write your own methods, call classes from other files. The rest of it we're going to be doing in Android itself, which you have to have a good understanding of Java, know what variables are, know your strings well, know your methods for strings, just in general know how Java works in general. You have to know how to do programming itself. Now, do you need an Android device or not? This is debatable. I prefer to develop with an Android device hooked up to my computer. I generally use a Transformer Prime by Asus or a Galaxy S3 by Samsung. And you need to get the USB driver for your device to allow the Android Bridge connector over USB, which we'll see how that works in a bit. I won't be able to show you the S3 running the app, but we'll be able to use emulators in this to emulate any Android devices you don't have. So if you have an Android phone, you want to make sure it works on tablets, you can emulate a tablet on your screen. So the first thing we're going to need is we're going to be working with a program called Eclipse. And Eclipse is a very good IDE for Android because there's a set of specific tools that Android has that it's installed onto Eclipse. So you need to go to Eclipse Downloads and Java Eclipse IDE, and then download that Windows 64-bit. Now I already have this downloaded. We're going to be using Eclipse Juno, the latest, because it's amazing. It's also available on Linux and Mac. We're going to be working with Windows, naturally enough. So when you've downloaded that, you're going to unzip a folder, and we're going to go into my documents. This is where I saved the unzipped folder called Eclipse. Now, if you move this Eclipse doesn't actually install in your system, it runs standalone. So what I like to do is I like to copy this and paste a shortcut on my desktop, and then rename that to just Eclipse. This is essentially just a shortcut to the Eclipse file, which allows you to launch it from the desktop. You can't actually move that exe file out of that folder or it won't work. So we're going to start it up. Okay. It'll take a few seconds to start. I've got a solid state drive, so it loads really quickly. Now, it's going to try and load the workbench, and we're now in. Now it's going to ask you about a workbench. A workbench is where everything is saved for Eclipse, naturally enough. So if we go to switch workplace and we go to other, browse, we want to create a new workplace. Okay, now I've saved mine in a Google Drive folder. This is actually a very important thing to do something like this, because the reason I have it saved in a Google Drive under Android is that all my assets for the apps, images and code, and all your code is in the workspace. You want to save this to some kind of online backup system, because if your computer crashes and it's their only copy, you lose everything. I learned the hard way, and I've currently got 3 apps that I have to now go get the code for. It's actually, I have it stored somewhere else, luckily, but I did almost lose all my source code, so that's okay. I'm going to click OK, and I'm not sure why Eclipse closed there. That's slightly peculiar. Bugger. Oh, it cannot be created, yes, so use that workspace. Cancel, okay. So we're going to shrink down this, and we're going to just make this nice and large. So this is where our code is going to be. Now we're going to need to install the new software. So we go Window, Install New Software, Window, or Help, Install New Software. And we're going to need a site to download it from. So you go to this webpage here, developer.android.com, SDK installing, install the Eclipse plugin. That's the page you're looking for. You copy and paste this into here. I'd recommend removing the S. Sometimes you need to, sometimes you don't. But I would recommend removing that S, because then it shows up. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. You want to download the developer and native, the native developer kit, maybe. Next. And this will download, and now, unfortunately, I have all this done already, but you click all those and accept everything there, okay? And then we're ready to go. Okay, so now we have to install our SDKs, and I have the window already up. So go Window, SDK Manager, and we need to install the SDK for Android 4.0. That's what we're going to be working with. API 14, API 15 is just an updated version of Android 4. We may do some stuff with Jelly Bean in the future, which is Android 4.1. I might make some fancy notifications. And we're also going to need Android 2.2. This is something you need, is Android 2.2, because it is an older version, but we're going to be developing everything for Android 4 and then making it work on Android 2.2 backwards. It means we'll lose some features in our app, but the idea is we want to make the best app possible for the new devices. Working with Android 2 is a mistake because it doesn't have as much API stuff, it doesn't support tablets, and it's just a whole mess of problems. Android 4 is the definitive thing for Android, and everyone should be working with that. So to install this, I've installed most of my SDKs already, but we just click SDK platform, install package, accept all, or just accept, and then it will download. Now it might take a minute or two to download, and we'll come back when it's done.